Hi everyone, we would be discussing the Module 4 for your work study and measurement subject. So here are your objectives. Okay, so konting overview. So again, nagsimula lang yung concept ng job design kay Frederick Winslow Taylor, who is also considered the father of scientific management and also considered the father of industrial engineering. Okay, so yung pagkakaayos nyo dun sa planta na iyon, yung pinagtrabahuhan nyo before, dun nag-start yung idea na oo, kailangan i-standardize, kailangan iayos para maging productive talaga lahat ng planta. Okay? So, yung basis niya ng refining or re-engineering ng job design is itong mga to. Okay? So, una is eliminate idle time for workers and machines. Again, it's not only for workers, even for machines. Kaya, para sa kanya, lahat ng non-functioning is considered as waste. Okay? Second, eliminate duplication of effort, yung redundancy, yung rework. Okay? So, yung mga lahat ng reassessment, okay, hindi yun papasok sa kanya or ayaw niya ng ganun. Gusto niya tanggal yun, okay? And then, streamline the flow of work through the firm. Dapat smooth lahat ng stages. Rearrange task sequences for more efficiency. Reduce jobs to shorter repetitive ones for higher productivity. Pag medyo nag-differ siya, nagde-decide pa yung worker ninyo, ang tendency medyo mas matagal yung oras na na-accumulate on that. Next is systematic reduction of skill requirements in each job. Baka naman pwede na hindi na sobrang high-skilled yung job, yung requirement ng job. Baka pwedeng pwede kahit sino or pwedeng kahit hindi siya maarte kung babae o lalaki, hindi kailangan may age limit, ganyan. Mga ganong bagay. Baka pwedeng ganon. Okay? So, yun yung considerations whenever nag-a-analyze siya ng tasks. Okay? Doon sa pag-a-analyze ng task or job analysis, madalas ginagamit ang principles of motion economy. Okay? So, principles of motion economy has three classifications. Principles of motion economy to the use of human body, tapos to the arrangement and conditions of the workplace, and to the design of tools and equipment. Iisa-isahin naman natin sila. Okay? We have here the musculoskeletal system. Though ito ay thoroughly i-discuss sa inyong ergonomics supposedly. Okay? But giving you an overview, yung musculoskeletal system, yan ang nagpapa-function sa workers. Okay? So kung hindi okay yung muscles, may sprain, may naputol na muscle, na ligament, okay? So hindi makakapag-function ng work ang isang tao. Okay? So musculoskeletal system collectively is the muscles and bones working together to perform a task. So bakit may kasama sa discussion yan? Okay? So basically yung pag-analyze kasi natin nung ibibigay nating job o yung gaano kabigat na job, okay, ay nakabase rin sa musculoskeletal system. Okay? So we consider the body parts in order to effectively provide jobs to the right people. Okay? So, meron tayong tinatawag na agonist sa inyong muscles. Okay? Agonists, these are prime activators of motion. And the antagonist naman, counteract the agonist and oppose the motion. So, minsan, di ba, pag tinataas niyo yung kamay niyo, nangangawit kayo. Okay? So, yun. May antagonist kasi sa every agonist. Okay? So, three types of muscles. We have skeletal or striated muscles, which are attached to the bones, cardiac muscles found in the heart, and smooth muscles found in the internal organs and the walls of the blood vessels. So, microscopically, ito yung itsura ng inyong muscles. Okay? So, medyo nakakadiring tignan. But then again, as designers of job, we are actually considering up to this level of muscle effort. Okay? So, hopefully hanggang dito lang. I mean, sobrang group yung makagamit nyo. Pero kung gumagamit na kayo ng sobrang piece by piece of the muscles, at dahil nasisira nyo na yung kada muscle, so medyo alarming na yun. Okay? So malalaman nyo yun thoroughly sa inyong ergonomics na subject. So, I would be proceeding with the principles of motion economy for the human body. Okay? So, first is the two hands should begin and complete their movements at the same time. So, ibig sabihin, hindi pwedeng nauna to or nauna to. Okay? Ideally, when you're designing the job, sabay silang nagsistart, sabay din silang natatapos. Ibig sabihin, well-utilized yung right at saka left hand mo. Okay? So again, the two hands should begin and complete their movement at the same time. Okay? Next po, the two hands should not be idle at the same time except periods of rest. So, hindi pwede na idle tong isa, okay, or sabay silang idle at wala silang ginagawa, nag-iintay lang, nagsi-cellphone lang, okay? So, hindi po pwede yun sa atin. Okay, considered as waste na agad yun for the principles of motion economy. Next, motions of arms should be symmetrical in opposite directions and should be made simultaneously. Symmetrical, okay? Hindi ko alam kung naranasan nyo na yung movement na yung ito pa ganito. Okay, ito pa ganito, ito ay pa ganito. Ay, ito ay pa ganito, ito ay pa ganito. Okay? So, I hope you can try this on your places kasi it takes time para magawa mo siya. Okay? Kasi magkaiba sila ng flow. Yung isa ay counterclockwise, yung isa ay clockwise. Okay? Medyo mag-iisip ka pa, i-condition mo pa yung sarili mo to do that. Okay? So, medyo mahirap kung hindi sila symmetrical. Okay? Kaya nga, pag hinati nyo yung katawan nyo, parang lahat symmetrical. Okay? Kaya ideally, dapat yung movement symmetrical. Kung forward, forward, backward, backward, madali yun para sa atin. Pero pagka nagde-differ yung movements, pinag-iba nyo yung symmetrical dapat, okay? Mahirap na yun para sa tao. Okay? So, supposedly, for the third rule for principle of motion economy, for human body, motions of arms should be symmetrical and in opposite directions. Next, hand and body motions should be made at the lowest classification at which it is possible to do the work satisfactorily. Really. Okay, ideally, kung pwedeng as much as possible when you're designing the job, sana less effort, okay? And when we say less effort, less yung energy, less yung muscles na magagamit, okay? Ito yung mga classification ng movements na tinatawag natin, okay? Class 1, kapag knuckle lang yung umikot, tapos ang ginagamit nyo lang na body is fingers lang, okay? Class 2 na movement, kapag wrist na at buong kamay na at fingers yung pinapagalaw ninyo, okay? Class 3 na movement, we have elbows na. Okay? Hindi na kaya ng kamay, pinagalaw nyo din yung elbows. So, elbows ang pivot, tapos forearm, hand, at saka fingers ang kasama. Okay? Next naman, classification 4 of movement, shoulder na. Okay, kasama na tong braso, kasama yung kamay ulit, daliri at saka yung kamay. Okay, and then class 5, yung trunk na mismo, which is yung upper body mo. Ito yung mga nangyayari pagka bubuhatin. Okay, so yun. So, in as much as possible para sa ating engineers, ideally, industrial engineers, sa pagde-design natin, gagawa natin ng paraan na lowest classification of movement ang magamit natin. Okay, para ang tendency kasi pagka mas higher level or mas higher classification of movement ang gagawin nyo, higher energy din, mas madali siyang mapapagod over time. At the same time, mas matagal din. Imagine nyo yung oras ng gamit ang daliri. Small task yon, ibig sabihin. Mas mabilis yon kaysa kung buong chunk ang gagamitin or buong upper body ang gagamitin sa inyong movement. Okay? So, yun. As much as possible, lowest classification movement. Okay? As much as possible lang. Okay? Next, momentum should be employed to help the worker, but should be reduced to a minimum whenever it has to be overcome by muscular effort. So, si momentum, 'di ba, kapag yung momentum, 'di ba, yung kamay nyo normally pag di ko alam kung kita niyo yung kamay ko. Yung kamay nyo, 'di ba, normally pag may kinuha kayo, ang momentum niya pa ganito, pa arc, hindi yung straight na gano'n. Okay, momentum. Ipa-follow nyo yung momentum ng flow ng katawan ng tao, okay? Para hindi mas stressful para doon sa gumagawa, okay? Para hindi siya take effort. Another example, yung, di ba pag ang movement, sa lamesa, pag ang movement mo sa lamesa ay very straight, I mean very strict na straight lang lahat, okay? Ang tendency mo doon, di ba, nakakangawit siya, imbes na yung normal flow, na pabilog naman talaga kasi yung grasp o yung working area ng kamay nyo. Okay? Another one, yung mga downward motions. Pag medyo pataas, medyo hindi yun nagfo-flow o meron ka pang gravity. Okay? Kaya mas mahirap yung mga pataas, yung mga paabot, kaysa sa pakuha sa baba. Okay? Kaya mas okay sa atin kung downward motions ang ating ginagawa. Okay? So, yun yung concept ng point 5 ng inyong Principles of Motion Economy. Next, point 6. Okay? So, continuous curved movements are preferred to straight line motions. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. So, pwedeng curve, pabilog, okay, para sana hindi sobrang restricted ng movements ninyo. Next, ballistic, free swinging movements are faster, easier, and more accurate than restricted, controlled movements. Yung hindi, yun nga, parang connected yan sa 6 at 7. So, yung hindi yung parang robot, mas madaling i-manage yung hindi strict, okay, yung mga naka-flowy lang, okay, na movements, kesa dun sa sobrang locked ang kailangan, okay? So, yun yung concept niya. Next, rhythm is essential to the smooth and automatic performance of a repetitive operation. Kung pwedeng ma-establish nyo ng rhythm na kada, halimbawa, mayroon kasing flow, may sinusunod na flow na kada 3 seconds, ito yung movement, parang step 1, 1, 2, 3, mas okay yun sa operator kesa dun sa bahala kayo kung anong trip nyo. Okay? So, yun. As much as possible, makukuha nyo yung natural rhythm kung pwede. So, yung natural rhythm, so halimbawa, ang movement from left to right. Okay? Normally kasi yung kaliwa nyo, left to right ang movement na gusto niyan. Yung right nyo, right to left ang movement. Natural rhythm yon. Okay? Hindi yung pipilitin mo na, lahat pa ganito kasi gusto ko lang. Okay? So, yan. As much as possible, follow or establish a natural rhythm. Next, work should be arranged so that eye movements are confined to a comfortable area. Hindi yung baka ang liliit na nga ng parts, okay, ang liliit na nga ng parts, kagulo pa siya. Imagine niyo naghahanap kayo ng sa isang box na puro bola na maliliit. Okay, hinahanap niyo isa-isa yung blue. Okay, halo-halo yung kulay. Okay, so syempre, hassle, hahanapin mo pa. Okay, so as much as possible, naka-fix na kung ano yung kukuning materyales. Hindi na yung hahalugugin pa, hindi na yung hahanapin pa. Kaya titignan pa lahat ng area bago makita yung hinahanap. Okay, parang gamit nyo sa bahay. No? Okay, so lalagyan natin i-establish natin yung proper location para hindi na naghahanap yung mata. Okay, para yung mata ay nakakapag-focus kung saan siya dapat mag-focus lang. Next, arrangement of the workplace. So, though sobrang related niya dun sa tao kanina na dinidiscuss. So, yung iba naman dito ay medyo specific. So, halimbawa ay definite and fixed stations should be provided for all tools and materials to permit habit of formation. So, kaya lumalabas yung mga shadow boards na tinatawag. Ito yung example ng shadow boards. Yung meron siyang shadow o binutasan ng ka-size nung ilalagay dapat sa kanya. Usually, makikita nyo to kung medyo nag-office yung parents nyo sa bahay, makikita nyo to sa kanilang cabinets na may naka-ukit doon na pang ballpen to, pang stapler, okay? So, para alam mo, okay, so pag visual management din, okay, dual purpose, visual management din, alam mo, kung may nawawala, alam mo, pag kailangan mo, nandun lang siya. Okay, na-establish sa utak ng operator na, okay, pag kailangan ko to, nandun lang to. Okay, so yun. Definite and fixed stations. Next, tools and materials should be pre-positioned to reduce searching. So, ideally, kung may operation kayo, may operation si operator, dapat lahat ng materials na gagamitin niya ay nasa kanya na. Okay? Or nasa area niya na. Hindi yung maghahagila pa siya. Next, gravity feed, bins, and containers should be used to deliver the materials as close to the point of use as possible. So, balikan ko lang yung isa kanina. Ito yung example ng gravity feed. Itong isang to. Okay, gravity feed. So, siya yung mga nakikita nyo pag kumuha kayo ng bubble gum sa mall. Okay? Yung bubble gum, paglagay nyo ng 5 piso, bababa na siya. Okay? Gravity feed yung tawag doon. Ang tendency niya, kaysa refillan natin ng horizontal, bakit hindi pababa na lang? Kasi automatic, pag bumawas ka nga naman ng isa, may bababa at may bababa. Yan na din ang ginagamit ng mga fast food chains. May mga nakikita na akong fast food chains na yung kanilang lalagyanan ng cups, yung kanilang cup na dispenser, pababa, naka-stock sa taas, tapos kukuha ka na lang sa baba. Okay? Para nga naman hindi ka pataas ng movement, bakit hindi yung gamitin mo yung gravity para pababa na lang yung pull? Kasi bababa naman yun, automatic. Hindi yung magsastock ka na naman o i-align mo na naman. Okay? Automatic si gravity na yung nagbibigay ng material. So, ang sinasabi dito sa point 3, so, as much as possible, yung delivery ng inyong materials ay malapit na dun sa kung saan siya gagamitin. Itabi nyo na siya. Halimbawa, raw materials, merong gravity feed o bin. Okay? Nandito, kukunin ko na lang siya. Hindi yung pupunta pa ako doon sa malayo, tsaka ako siya makukuha. Nag-gravity feed ako, pero malayo pa din. Okay? Share ko lang din sa, I don't know, alam ko Nestle Kabuyaw. Yung napuntahan kong Nestle Kabuyaw, so, yung kanilang sample, kasi kumukuha tayo ng sample every batch. Okay? So, yung kanilang isang sample, parang sa second floor. Sa second floor, nakakakuha ng sample. Ang ginagawa nila, merong tubo silang in-establish papunta doon sa QA area na ilalaglag na lang nila doon yung sample. Then, makukuha na ng QA sa kabilang department, which is sa baba. Okay? So, yun. Gumamit sila ng gravity feed para hindi na bababa pa ng hagdan si operator. So, may tubo na lang. Pinapadaan na lang doon yung materials. Next, tools, materials, and controls should be located within the maximum working area and as near to the worker as possible. Okay? So, ang order naman yan, kung ano yung pinakagamit na gamit, no, yun yung pinakamalapit sa inyo. Okay? At yung mga rare lang talagang gamitin, o di kaya conditional lang, yun yung medyo malayo. Okay? Yung tinatawag nating maximum work area, ito yun. Okay? Maximum work area, ito yung maximum na pwedeng ma-reach ng inyong kamay. Okay? Kaya siya tinawag na maximum work area. After dyan, after ng area na yan, dudukwang na yan si operator. At hindi na yun safe para sa atin. Every now and then, dudukwang. Okay? Hindi na yun safe para sa atin. Okay? So, yun yung concept nito. Kailangan daw, i-design mo na yung operator mo ay hanggang dito lang. Okay? Ang functions. Tapos, yung mga very essentials or yung very madalas na ginagamit niya dito sa yung ideal na working area, which is ito lang, yung ang hanggang dito lang, ang nakalabas. Hanggang elbow lang ang nakalabas. Next, materials and tools should be arranged to permit the best sequence of motions. So, kung po pwede na sunod-sunod na yung materials, nakalagay yung sunod-sunod na materials na gagamitin, okay, para hindi na nag-iisip, step 1, step 2, step 3. Hindi ko alam kung nagbe-bake kayo, pero step 1, step 2, step 3, usually yun yung nangyayari. Pero dapat naka-order na siya para kahit umalis kayo dun sa pwesto nyo, si operator, kahit umalis sa pwesto nyo si operator, diba? Alam niyo kung ano yung sunod-sunod kasi kita yung flow ng materials. Next, drop deliveries or ejectors should be used whenever possible. Okay? Baka naman pwede yung ilalaglag na lang o di kaya may nagbubuga. Okay? Para hindi na masyado yung delivery. Okay? Baka pwedeng automatic na lang, conveyor na lang. Okay? Para automatic lumalabas na yung delivery ng materials. Okay? Next, provision should be made for adequate lighting and a chair of the type and height to permit good posture should be provided. The height of the workplace and seats should be arranged to allow alternate sitting and standing. Okay? So, dapat po yung operator nyo, tama yung lighting and ergonomics, pag-aaralan nyo yung kung ano yung tamang lighting. Okay? Iba-iba yon pagka precision yung gagawin o sobrang maliliit. Halimbawa, parang needle. Kunyari, ang operation ninyo ay magbilang ang tawag dyan, ng needle. Karayom in Tagalog. Ayan, karayom in Tagalog. Okay, so syempre, kung ang ilaw mo ay general purpose at nasa taas, malayo ang distance sa'yo, ang hirap tignan, nakakaduling, ang sakit sa mata. Tendency in the future, magkakaroon ka ng sakit sa mata, eye strain, una, tapos medyo lalabo na afterwards. Okay, so yun. Depende, dapat may tamang lighting, tapos yung upuan and yung workstation itself is comfortable si operator, okay? Meron tayong prescribed na working position, makikita nyo mamaya, okay? So, mini-measure din sa ergonomics yung tamang height ng upuan, tamang height ng table, ano yung normal working condition para hindi nakakuba o hindi nakasalampak yung upo ng operator. And then, yung workstation, dapat open siya for standing also. Okay? Hindi lang sitting. Kasi, when we're designing work, dapat medyo nag-alternate sitting and standing. Kasi pag puro sitting ang ginagawa ni operator, and tendency magkakaroon siya ng, hindi magiging healthy yung sa buong sistema niya kung maghapon lang siya nakaupo. Okay? So, we are actually designing the job in such a way na pwedeng minsan nakatayo, minsan nakaupo. Okay? So, yun. Kung pwedeng na-adjust ang mga bagay-bagay, bakit hindi? Okay? And then, the color of the workplace should contrast with that of the work and thus reduce eye fatigue. Baka mamaya puti na nga o silver, tas puti pa yung nasa likod. Okay? Sobrang effort ng mata mong i-process distinct yung silver sa puti. Okay? Kaya may contrast tayong tinatawag. Okay? So, baka naman pwedeng gawin mo ng itim kasi puti pala yung ina-analyze mo. Okay? At the same time, we are also providing our operators some way to reduce eye strain. Alam ba, maglalagay kayo ng wall na kulay green kasi green yung nakakapagpa-calm ng senses ng eyes. Okay? So, yung 20 rule na every 20 minutes, kailangan tumitingin ka sa kiligin tapos balik ka na sa work mo. Okay? So, yun. One way of helping them para hindi sila mapagod dun sa work. Ano? Bakit, kung iniisip nyo, bakit sobrang concern mo naman sa operator, ma'am? Okay, so concern tayo sa operator kasi pag napagod yan, pag na-bad trip yan, pag hindi siya nag-perform ng ayos, maapektuhan yung output mo. Okay, so therefore, pag naapektuhan yung output mo, maapektuhan yung profit ng company mo. Okay? Next, let's talk about the principles of motion economy for tools and equipment. So first off, 2 hands should be relieved of all work of holding the workplace where this can be done by a jig, fixture, or foot-operated device. Sobrang guilty, madaming guilty sa ganyan. Pwede namang may jig na lang o di kaya may wrench na hahawak na lang pero ang ginagawa, pinapahawak pa sa operator. Okay? Baka pwedeng ipapasok mo na lang doon tapos isasalin para ito may iba pang nagagawa. Okay? Hindi productive na trabaho para sa atin o hindi productive na tignan kung holding lang ang ginagawa ng kamay. Okay? Next, 2 or more tools should be combined whenever possible. Okay? So, para di ba kanina kailangan daw i-organize ang tools. Okay? Para hindi naman sobrang daming tools, baka naman pwedeng 2-in-1, 3-in-1, yung tools na magagamit ninyo. Sample yung si Swiss knife. Though hindi yan suggested for operators, diba? Ang sinasabi lang yan, yung concept na in one tool, diba? Ang dami-dami ng ang dami-dami ng devices. Okay? Next, where each finger performs some specific movement, as in typewriting, the load should be distributed in accordance with the inherent capacity of the fingers. May different capacities yung fingers ninyo. Okay? So, ito, knowingly, mahina to. Okay? Kasi maliit lang yung buto dyan. Tapos, yung position niya awkward para siya ang mag-carry. Okay? Though medyo strong siya. Ang pinakamalakas sa ating dalawa ay ito. Okay? Though ang pinakamalakas talaga ay ito. Okay? Ito yung pinakamalakas. Sumunod to. Tapos, ito yung dalawa, medyo equal. Okay? Kasi, itong dalawa, magka-connecta yung ugat nila. Okay? Kaya hindi siya masyadong ideal na ito yung ipapagamit nyo kasi pag pinagamit mo to, 'di ba, bumababa din yung isa madalas. Okay? So 'yun. As much as possible, kung sakaling ginagamit si fingers, dapat distributed. Kaya 'di ba kapag nagpapa-typing test kayo, kailangan lahat gumagalaw, okay? Lahat ay nagta-type kasi hindi pwedeng isa lang yung nagta-type, magkakaroon ng fatigue tong si hintuturo. Okay? So, yun. Baka pwedeng lahat ma-distribute yung load sa buong fingers ninyo. Next, handles such as those cranks and large screwdriver should be designed that as much of surface of the hand as possible can come into contact with the handle. So, kaya in ergonomics, you would be studying yung dimensions ng kamay. Kasi hindi ko alam kung nakaranas na kayo ng handle na labis-labis. Yung ganito yung itsura ng kamay nyo. Labis-labis. Di ba hindi mo makuha yung tamang grip. Kasi labis-labis yung daliri mo dun sa handle. Mali yung handle. Okay? O mali yung size ng handle versus dun sa standard. Sa average size ng kamay. Okay? So, kaya ang itsura ng iyo, ganito. Hindi mo rin ma-handle kung labis-labis yung handle, yung sobrang laki. Okay? So, yun. Isa yun sa considerations kung sakaling gagawa kayo ng tools and fixtures. Next, levers, crossbars, and hand wheels should be so placed that the operative can use them with the least change in body position and the greatest mechanical advantage. Okay, so si lever, madalas ginagamit yan halimbawa, you would be pushing or lifting heavy weights. Okay, as much as possible, gamitin mo na yung mahabang lever o i-design mo na siya na medyo mahaba na yung lever para less na yung effort. Kasi nilagyan mo na nga siya ng lever pero wala din pala. Okay? So, rough rule. So, gamitin natin yung concept ng ito kasi yung tinatawag na body posture kapag nasa space ka. Which is, ito yung normal na position ng katawan mo. Okay? So, ideally, whenever you're designing for a tool, fixture, ito yung consideration mo. Okay? Ito yung position na comfortable. Yung kamay, comfortable yan sa ganyan. Pero pag pinilit mong nakaganon siya, okay, hindi na yun comfortable sa akin. Okay? Yung mata, comfortable siya sa gantong level. Pero pag ang movement na pinagawa mo yung nakatingala, hindi na siya comfortable. Okay? So, and so on. So, pag nasa ganyang posisyon ang tao, though, syempre wala pong upuan niya. Okay, pero yan yung ideal. Pag nasa ganyang posisyon ang tao, malakas yung force. And the longer na nagde-deviate ka dyan sa posisyon na yan, humihina na yung force. Okay, halimbawa, nakatayo. Hindi yun yung normal, diba? Pag nakatayo, hindi yun yung normal. Diba kapag ka nagpo-push kayo ng bagay, ang tendency nyo, pumupunta kayo dyan sa posisyon na yan. Kasi nandyan yung pinakamalakas na puwersa nyo. Okay? Kasi nga, yan yung normal. Yan yung normal na, yan yung, kumbaga, yan yung status ko ng katawan ninyo. Okay? Nandyan yung pinakamalaking force. Okay, so yun. I-design niyo yung job in such a way na may utilize yung natural na position natin. Okay? O yung normal na positioning natin. Further notes on workplace layout and simplification of movements. Additional lang. Okay? Next, achieve maximum muscle strength with slow movements. So, syempre, pag mas mabagal na movements, mas malaking force ang ilalagay, diba? Pagka pinupush nyo, meron kayong binubuhat, mas mabagal, mas nabubuhat nyo. Pero pag nagmamadali, diba, hindi nakakatuwa. Okay? So, in here, you'll see yung depreciation ng force versus the velocity. So, wag nyo asahan na kung mabigat, gusto nyo mabilis. Mabigat nga. Hindi nga pwede ganun. Okay? Next, design tasks to optimize human strength capability. Okay? So, ito yung mga maximum weights na pwede nyong ilagay for lifting. Okay? So, iba yung strength ng lalaki sa babae, iba din yung strength ng muscle or joint, tas iba din yung strength depende sa posture. Okay? So, yan. Halimbawa, for floor to knuckle height, 1 lift per 0.5 minute ang pwede o 30 seconds. So, considering ito yung mga weights. Syempre, mas mababa sa babae. Mas mahina din kasi talaga si babae. Okay? Tapos, pag knuckle to shoulder height, ang bubuhatin, okay, 42. Tapos, 20 sa babae. Pag shoulder to arm reach, 37. Tapos, 18 sa babae. Okay? And so on. So, ito din, other lifting guides. So, makikita nyo yun dito. Though, ito normally ay mas ma-elaborate nyo pa guys sa inyong methods. But yun, inibigyan ko na kayo ng overview kasi kailangan siya for job design. Yan. Next, use larger muscles for heavier tasks. So, huwag pilitin na daliri kung mabigat. Okay? Baka pwedeng buong braso na kung mabigat. Okay? So, yun, use larger muscles to heavier tasks. So, you would see here the push forces and the pull forces of both male and female with regards to distance. Next, design tasks so that most workers can do them. Nasabi na to sa tenets. Okay, so factors na nakaka-affect sa performance, gender. Okay, so kung ang kailangan mo ay strength, lalaki ang kailangan mo most of the time. Pero kung ang kailangan mo ay precision, babae ang usapan or babae ang kinukuha. Okay, kaya madaming nagtatrabaho sa semicon na babae kasi precision yung trabaho. Okay, next age. Muscle strength appears to peak in the mid-20s. So, kung yung task na gagawin mo is medyo nag-require ng strength, so ilalagay mo yun sa requirement mo, sa job requirement ng inyong HR. Okay? And then, handedness. Minsan may mga trabahong pang kaliwete kanan, may mga arte sa ganon. Okay? So, sana wag ganon yung maging task na i-design nyo. And then, fitness and training. Baka mamaya, pag sobrang physically fit ka lang, pag sobrang fit ka lang at nag-gym ka, tsaka mo lang magagawa yung task. Huwag naman ganun. Okay? Next, use low force for precise movements or fine motor control. Hindi ka kasi makakapag-fine movements kung heavy force ang gagamitin. Mabigat pala, pero gusto mo mag-fine. So, imposible. Next, do not attempt precise movements immediately after heavy work. Kaya nga may ngimay, 'di ba? May ngimay. Ngimay pa yung kumbaga na-worn out pa yung muscle mo, hindi pa siya nakakapag-repair. Okay? Tapos gusto mo na mag-precision, yung maliliit. Okay? Mabigat, tapos maliit. So, syempre, kahit yung katawan mo, kahit katawan ng operator mo, ay mag-a-adjust kung ganun yung ipapagawa mo. Okay? If similar work is being done by each hand, there should be a separate supply of materials or parts for each hand. Hindi yung nagsishare pa sila, nagsisiksikan pa sila. Okay? So, every contact is unnecessary naman. Okay? So, yun. If the eyes are used to select a material, as far as possible, the material should be kept in an area nakita ng mata. Okay? Kung gagamitin si mata, dapat kita ng mata, hindi yung tutuwad pa ako para makita ko. Okay? So, ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyong proper working area. So, mini-measure yan sa ergonomics. Ilan ba yung average na length nito? Ilan yung average length nito para malagyan ng back support? Okay? Tapos, ilan ba yung average length from elbow hanggang pababa para yun yung design ayun yung height ng inyong work table. Okay? Actually, pwede nyo na tignan yung mga sarili-sarili yung work table kung ganyan nga ang design. Okay? Ideally, nakabase sa elbow height ninyo, yung height ng inyong workplace. Okay? Tapos, ito medyo malito, dapat medyo nakadiretso yung tingin niya, 'di ba? Hindi nakababang baba. Pero mukhang pasok pa naman. Okay? So, yun. So, sa ganyan, yan yung mga basihan ng paggawa ng workstation kung sakaling nakaupo yung task. Finished work should be drop down a hole or chute. So, dahil finished work na naman siya, drop through a chute when hand is starting the first motion. Put in a container place so that hand movements are kept to the minimum. If the operation is an immediate one, place in a container in such a way that the next operation can pick it up easily. Next, we'll talk about operations analysis. Okay? So, operations analysis. So, si operations analysis normally ay nagha-handle ng pag-eliminate ng 7 types of muda o waste. Muda is the Japanese term for waste. So, these are the 7 mudas in lean manufacturing. So, we have defects. Sinabing defects, not right, first time, repetition or correction. Ito yung mga defective, okay, ng mga produkto. Pag bumili kayo sa Lazada, may sira, mga ganyan. Ayan, Shopee, ganyan, may sira. Defect yung tawag doon. Next, another type of waste is transportation. Transportation, ito yung lakad dito, lakad doon, hindi naman kailangan. Okay? Excessive transportation is also part of the waste. Inventory. Inventory, para sa atin kasi, though ideally, sabi nila dapat may stocks ka para back up. Okay? Pero inisipin nyo, yung stocks kasi nagsistay yan sa warehouse mo. Eh, yung warehouse mo, binabayaran mo yun per square meter. Okay? So, syempre, paglaki ng warehouse, paglaki ng expenses ko. Kaya dapat, wala masyadong inventory. Okay? Waste para sa atin ang inventory. Okay? Ideally, nagpo-produce ka kung kailan kailangan. Okay? Next, movement. Baka mamaya may mga ginagawa kang actions na hindi naman kailangan. Like, nagganto ka, hindi naman kailangan sa operation, nangamot ng ulo, bumahing, okay? Motions or movements ang tawag doon, which is pwedeng ma-consider as waste. Okay? Waiting. Ito, sobrang bawal sa atin to. Yung nagiintay ng parts mula sa, o nagiintay, bilisan mo naman. Nagiintay ka lang, waste yun. Okay? Overproduction is also part of the waste. Kahit sabihin nilang, may pasobra nga, buti nga may pasobra eh. Okay? Pero sa atin, hindi maganda yun. Okay, kasi sobra, ibig sabihin, hindi mo alam kung mabibili. Tapos, tetenga na naman yan sa warehouse. Okay? So, yun. Overproduction is also part of the waste. And overprocessing. Yung hindi naman kailangan na lagyan ng flour yung cake, pero nilagyan mo. Okay? Hindi naman, the lighter yun, yes, para sa customer. Pero, hindi naman natin alam kung yun, I mean, sayang lang yung process, sayang yung oras na ginugol mo doon, eh hindi naman yun yung ni-require in the first place. Okay? Overprocessing yung tawag doon. Okay? So, pwede nyong gamitin yung abbreviation na DOMITO para matandaan nyo lahat yan. Okay? DOMITO. So, defects, overproduction, waiting, motion, inventory, transportation, and overprocessing. So, 9 primary approaches to operations analysis. So, first off, alamin nyo daw muna ang operations purpose, then part design, tolerance and specifications, material, manufacturing sequence and processes, setup tools, material handling, plant layout, and work design. So, simultaneously consider many ways of making improvements. So, baka magtatanong kayo, bakit kailangang mag-operations analysis? Okay, sa operations analysis kasi nagsisimula yung improvement. Okay? So, at ang una noon ay ang pagtanong nyo kung ano ba yung purpose ng operation. Okay? Normally, pag nasa industry na kayo, may explain sa inyong processes. Okay? Sana wag dumating sa point na makain agad kayo ng sistema. Okay? Pag kinain kasi kayo ng sistema, ibig sabihin, pag tinanong kayo, bakit ganito to? Wala, ganyan talaga yan. Ganan. Kinain ka na ng sistema pag ganun. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, hindi mo na naiisip na mali siya, hindi mo na nako-question na bakit nga ba? Okay, bakit nga ba? Hindi mo na siya na-question kasi parang tanggap mo na siya, sanay ka na, napagod ka na, mga ganyan. Okay, so yun, bilang industrial engineers, isa sa mga ways para makita nyo kung ano yung mga for improvement, especially pag bago kayo sa isang lugar, is to seek clarification kung para saan ba yung mga bagay-bagay. Okay, kasi minsan, yung mga pagtanong nyo ng para saan ba to? Ideally, doon talaga marirealize na, oo nga no, bakit nga ba namin ginagawa yun? Oo nga no, bakit nga ba kami pumupunta doon? Okay? Kasi kung hindi mo alam yung dahilan, para saan nga ba? Okay? Para saan siya nag-i-exist? Okay? So, yun. Seek for the operations purpose. Halimbawa, ito. Coffee shop experience. Many stores have dropped the requirement that customers sign their credit slip for small cost. Okay? So, bakit nga ba kailangang pirmahan pa small cost nga? Eh, ang bangko, ang requirement nila parang malaking amount. Okay? So, yun. Ginawa nila pagka mas malalaki na lang na purchases. Pero pag hindi na, diretso na. Next, another example. Okay. So, example number 3, example 3 din, coffee shop worker. Ito yung process niya. Ang ginawa niya ay nilagyan ng measuring lines. So, simpleng process lang, pero, 'di ba? Tinanong niya lang naman kung para saan yung process na yun. So, ginawa niya na ng improvement. Next, part design. Design for manufacturing and life cycle. So, as much as possible, yung mga parts, dapat, pag nagde-design kayo, or pag nakita niyo yung mga parts niyo, dapat simple lang. Hindi yung salpak dito, materyales ulit. Okay? Mas maganda kung mas simple. I mean, dalawa lang yung i-join. Hindi yung ang dami-daming i-join. Wala namang sense kung ang dami-daming i-join. Okay? So, mas reduce, ma-utilize better material, of course. So, baka mamaya, ang ganda nga. Pero later part, makikita mo, nag-fail din naman yung materials. O, nasisira agad siya. Okay? So, yun. Loosen tolerances when possible. Baka pwedeng hindi sobrang higpit na ang magagamit mong materyales pwedeng galing sa normal na supplier, hindi yung galing pa sa imported, ganyan. Okay? And then, design for manufacturability and assembly. So, ibig sabihin, i-design mo yung parts mo in such a way na madali siyang i-assemble, madali siyang i-manufacture. So, minimum cost design yung consideration natin for design manufacturing. So, ibig sabihin, in terms of cost, hindi lang siya attributed sa material. Kasama na din dun sa pag-consider kung paano siya i-manufacture. Okay, so, yun. So, halimbawa yan, 4 bends in a sheet metal to make part, make lower cost extrusion with 4 bends already on it. Okay, so yun. Design for manufacturing ang tawag dyan. Next, tolerance and specifications. Designers tend to incorporate tolerances that are more rigid than necessary. So, ibig sabihin, naglalagay ka ng, hindi kami mag-a-accept pagka hanggang 10, pagka lumampas kayo ng 3 millimeters. Ang chart, di ba, wala naman nakaka-perfect na 3 millimeters. Kahit nga magguhit kayo sa ruler, di ba? I mean, i-check nyo yung mga ruler, wala namang nakaka-perfect talaga, na pantay-pantay sila 100% at 3 millimeters. Okay? Imposible naman yun. Okay? So, pakiluwag-luwagan ang tolerances kasi baka naman OA sa higpit. Given yung tolerances na yan, higpitan nyo yan kung kayo ay under healthcare. Okay? O di kaya pinoproduce nyo ay regarding sa health. Pero pag hindi naman, medyo okay lang naman na luwag-luwagan natin ng kaunti. Next, material. So, material, incorporate better, more economical materials in the design. So, baka pwedeng, di ba, yung dati, ang gamit ay steel. Baka pwedeng aluminum na lang, mas mura pa, mas available pa. Okay? Mas madali pang i-process. Okay? So, yung mga ganong bagay. So, micarta, spacebar transformer. Tapos, stamp gear with plastic gear in assembly. So, next, manufacturing sequence and tools. So, kung pwedeng i-apply nyo yung ECRS, so baka pwedeng i-resequence, okay, ang mga bagay-bagay para mas madali ang flow. Okay, better po. Pag hindi maayos ang sequence, di subject for improvement na rin siya. Sample ng sequencing. Next, set up tools and fixtures. So, carefully consider economic trade-offs. Baka naman pwedeng gumamit kayo ng fixtures na. Okay? So, halimbawa ay hindi nyo naman siya masyadong ginagamit. Okay? So, baka pwedeng hindi na kasing, baka pwedeng fixtures na lang siya. Okay? So, mga ganon. Okay? So, yun yung mga considerations, set up tools and fixtures. So, ito, efficient tooling. Carbide tools are more cost-effective than high-speed steel tools. Okay. Another example of tooling. Material handling. Ito yung pinakalaging concept. The best way to handle material is not to handle it. So, as much as possible, hindi yung literal na hawakan na. Kasi minsan, yung mga materials yung ang daming dinadaanan. Dadaan ng logistics, dadaan ng QA, dadaan ng ganito, okay? So, minsan nakaka-issue tayo sa material handling. Nako-contaminate yung material, okay? So, o di kaya, nasisira, nadadamage, okay? So, as much as possible, para mas okay yung material handling, sana nakadesign yung process in such a way na less yung contact dun sa material, okay? O, pwedeng machine lang yung nagko-contact, tas hindi sobrang dami nung pinupuntahan ng materials, okay? Approaches to reducing material handling time. So, for reading 10 Principles of Material Handling by MH Institute. Next, plant layout. So, syempre, pag hindi po maayos ang layout, hindi rin po magiging maganda ang flow. Obvious yun. Okay? So, depende po kung ano ang ginagawa ng planta. So, pwedeng product layout, process layout. Though, in the future, maririnig nyo din yung cellular layout. Okay? So, yun. Pero yung basic na types of layout is product layout, which is sinusunod nyo yung layout base sa flow ng produkto ninyo. Okay? Halimbawa ay process 1, process 2, process 3, yun yung layout. Okay? Pero kapag naka-process layout kayo, naka-sort, by halimbawa, lahat ng cutting nandito, lahat ng drilling nandito, lahat ng cooling nandito. Okay? Naka-sort by process. That's process layout. Ideally, kapag ka nag-analyze kayo ng plant layout, gagawa kayo ng from to chart na tinatawag. Ito yun. Okay? So, ito ay pwede nyo rin gamitin for, halimbawa, pag nagde-design na kayo ng layout ng bahay ninyo. Okay? So, yan. Sa layout, ginagamit si Mother's Grid. So, ito, i-rate mo yung kada department or kada office or kada slot sa connection. Halimbawa, kailangan magkadikit si stockroom tsaka si shipping kasi doon kumukuha ng stock. Okay? So, yun. Tapos the rest, i-rate mo din. Tapos, yun yung magiging basis mo ng pagle-layout. Okay? Gagawa ka ngayon ng draft base doon sa isang yun. Okay? Base doon sa connection. Dapat magkatabi, dapat hindi magkatabi. Okay? Tapos, based doon sa pagkakagawa mo ng layout, gagawa ka ng at least 3 na options, okay, na layout, na nagko-comply dyan sa mga yan. So, yung 3 na yan, so, pwede mong i-rate by your decision matrices. So, gagawa ka ngayon ng factor rating method. So ang gagawin mo, identify mo muna yung performance parameters mo o ano yung gusto mong maging basis ng decision. Bawa ito, gusto niya based sa renovation cost, material handling, use of space, and aesthetics. Okay? So, based dyan, i-rate ko ngayon yung aking options. Okay? Halimbawa, pinakamagaling si option 2 sa renovation cost. Matipid na matipid. Okay? Ito naman, pinakamagaling sa material handling sa option 3. Okay? So, with that, i-multiply 8 times 3 plus 10 times 3 plus 6 times 4, depende kung anong ginamit nyo. Okay, o halimbawa, pinoint niya to. So, makukuha niyo yung pinakamataas na score. Okay, at yun yung magiging basis ninyo para yun yung piliin yung layout. Factor rating method ang tawag doon. Okay? Next, work design. So, work design, baka pwedeng mag-eliminate ng operations, mag-resequence, mag-redesign ng operations. So, though madami naman, meron tayong mga 4 na chapters yata na work design ang pag-uusapan. Okay? So, that ends our method study part 2. So, for questions and clarifications, I would be very willing to answer your questions in our Microsoft Teams account. Thank you so much.